Hello?
Mr. White?
Yes, who's this?
Oh crap, I killed him.
Hey everybody. Since James Bond is the subject of this video, that means we're going to be discussing topics of sexual misconduct, including sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape. Viewer discretion is advised. The year is 2013. I've recently returned home from my terrible, horrible, no good, very bad mission. I'm at Sam's Club with my super awesome mother and I stumble across this, the Bond 50 Collector's box set. My Blu-ray collection was still in its infancy at the time, but this was one Blu-ray set I knew I couldn't pass up. On top of that, owning it would give me a chance to see all those classic James Bond films I had heard so much about. And then the box set went directly onto my shelf, to go unwatched for 9 years. The year is 2022. I had just posted my review of the 1998 remake of Psycho, and I was looking for what to do for my next project. At the time, the internet was rife with speculation and theories over who would be the next Bond, and I wanted to get in on that conversation. But I had only seen the Daniel Craig films, GoldenEye, and Octopussy. If I was going to offer my opinion over who should be the next James Bond, I should at least watch them all 28 of them, including the 3 unofficial films, the original 1954 TV movie Climax Casino Royale, its 1967 parody remake Casino Royale, and Justin Bieber's Never Say Never Again. I was looking forward to this new watch list. I grew up watching spy like the Bourne trilogy, Alias, and the Mission Impossible series. Shh, it's okay. I think you're special and wonderful and the second best. Fuck all the haters. So it seemed like the James Bond movies would be right up my alley. They're not for me. I don't think most of these are very good films. Of the 28 movies, there are only 3 that I actually recommend. Honestly, you can skip the rest. So, now that I've seen every film in the franchise, I feel that I'm ready to talk about who should play the next James Bond. On March 8th, 2025, the extremely unbiased and full of journalistic integrity source of totally real news, the Daily Mail, reported that an unnamed source confirmed that James Bond will indeed be male based on a memo that the Daily Mail doesn't actually have a copy of. It's all very legit and true, and definitely not some right-wing rag posting unconfirmed engagement bait for clicks. But this has got me thinking about the future of the franchise, and I'm actually going to side with the Daily Mail on this one. Not on the anti-woke them. But I actually agree that the next James Bond should be a white, straight male. And no, this isn't some misguided fear of change. I'd love to see Idris Elba take on the role, or a Jane Bond, or even 007 get it on with Q. But personally, I don't believe that those would be the right direction for the franchise and the character at this moment. In order to understand where I'm coming from, we need to talk about the legacy of Bond. James Bond. I don't like this character. And it really doesn't matter who plays him. Whether it's him or him or her or him or her or him or her or him or her or him or him or him or him or him. I know that Ian Fleming intended Bond to be a well-mannered, fluent man of class, but in hindsight, that's definitely not how he comes off. He holds very little value for human life, nor concern for the disastrous consequences of his actions. And his worst trait is that he's a walking nightmare for MI6's HR department. Bond's misconduct towards women amounts to more than just sexually harassing Miss Moneypenny every chance he gets, but also physical abuse, sexual assault, whatever the This is, and for the record, I do not like it, and rape. I won't delicately approach this one. James Bond absolutely is a rapist on multiple occasions. And on top of his many selfish, violent, and perverted actions, he rarely, if ever, experiences an actual character arc. James Bond usually never undergoes any growth or learns from his mistakes. Who he is at the end of the film is the exact same person he was at the beginning. For 60 years, the series has largely avoided having a conversation regarding his behavior, let alone outright condemned it. That's not to say that there's been no attempt to rectify the wrongs of the past. I do have to give credit to producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson for trying to introduce a modicum of consequences to Bond's past behavior in No Time to Die, even if those attempts fell flat on their face. Léa Seydoux is angry at him for abandoning her, especially to raise a child on her own, but she'll still fuck him regardless. Sure, they now have a kid from their past sexual encounters, but her role in the story eventually boils down to being another prop that Bond has to save. It's not enough. There's this bizarre and frustrating trait that film executives have where they recognize the more harmful, racist, misogynistic, and bigoted parts of their past, but don't know how to, or don't want to, fully address them. Disney execs are probably the most guilty of this, especially when it comes to the remakes of their animated classics. Those films, even the relatively recent ones, are pretty racist and sexist. But rather than having a conversation about these outdated and harmful ideas and portrayals, the executives are perfectly satisfied with just changing them, acting as if those moments never happened. Instead, they often let their actors, especially the female ones, have the conversations for them. And regardless of how Rachel Ziegler and Brie Larson handled their condemnations of Disney and Marvel,
am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not.
I would argue that it isn't even their responsibility. It's the executives. The ones who are completely okay with their actors hanging themselves publicly, so they don't have to.
And I'm also saying I don't hate white dudes.
Then they can release their new, sanitized, unchallenged, completely compromised swill to the silver screen and act like the past wasn't as bad as it actually was. This is what I like to call the band-aid over the bullet hole solution. They're just covering up the past, not ever addressing it. As a result, there's this bleeding question seeping through the bandage that they cannot avoid. But what about all of this? This is why I'm fearful of an actor of color or a woman being cast as Bond or making him gay. It's the band-aid over the bullet hole solution. It presents the audience with an air of responsibility and self-awareness while never addressing the fundamental problems with this character. Bond can't be racist, he's black. Bond can't be a misogynist, she's a woman. Bond can't be homophobic, he's gay. What I want to see from the future of this franchise is a genuine, heartfelt investigation into the past, present, and future of the man who is James Bond. I want to see a film where, because of his selfish, idealistic, and careless actions, thousands, if not millions, die. I want to see him be held responsible for those actions, and I want to see him attempt to repair the damage done. I want to see him harm women through his misogynistic womanizing, and have to come to terms with the physical, mental, emotional, and sexual damage that he has caused. I want him to learn to see women as more than just objects to save and/or kill. I want to see him develop a greater appreciation of women, not just as women, but as human beings, be them lovers, coworkers, or enemies. I don't want to see him be better, I want him to work to be better. I want to see actual growth and a genuine character arc, and not just for one film, but several. I want to be emotionally invested in Bond rather than endure his screen time. And this can only happen if James Bond remains a white, straight male, since his legacy of abuse and cruelty is directly tied to his race, gender, and sexuality. Anything else could end up just being a distraction. Look, I'm not stupid. I know that I'm probably the only one who wants to see the franchise go in this direction. And I'm very aware that there's no way Amazon executives will see this video, and even if they do, there's no fucking way they'll take the opinion of some random gal from Utah seriously. What I want isn't going to happen. I know that. It will be business as usual as the fucking idiots at Amazon, Barbara Broccoli's words, not mine, drive this franchise into the fucking ground. Just as Paramount has done with Star Trek, Disney has done with the remakes of their animated classics, Star Wars and Marvel, and Warner Brothers has done with Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, and DC. We'll get so many more movies and spin-offs and television series that when something new under the Bond IP comes out, it will barely register in the public conscious, and all the while, Amazon execs will never have a truly meaningful and introspective look into the legacy of Bond's problematic past. Which is when I realized that because of this, this video has ultimately been a giant waste of my time. So, if you're going to take anything away from this video, it should be that you should at least watch Skyfall if you haven't. It's genuinely great. Okay, bye.
Oh crap, I killed him.
You leave me no choice. I cannot let you destroy me.